I don't know why we get surprised when something unusual comes out of the president's mouth. You know, we should be well practiced in all of this. I think at the end of the day, the Fed and the president are trying to do the same thing. They're leaning against a strong economy, and one's trying to normalize policy rates, and one's trying to get a more equal playing field on trade. And unfortunately, those things aren't necessarily, working in conjunction. So the president looks at this as saying, hey, the Fed's working against what I'm trying to do, get a level playing field in trade. I'm, trying to reduce taxes and reduce regulation, and here's the Fed raising rates, when actually the Fed's really just trying to get to a neutral rate so that if we roll over in the economy in 2020, they'll have something to give back. But it's got to be a little amusing for the Fed and frustrating for the president all at the same time. And I don't know why this surprises us when it happens.
It should not. To your point, I mean, Art, it's been almost 2 years now. I mean, the election was November of 2 years ago. Obviously, a year and a half since the inauguration, nearly daily or at least weekly, we have something that surprises us. I guess, though, here's the ultimate question. Do you believe, does anybody on your desk believe that the Federal Reserve Chairman, because nobody wants the heat from the president, will change their policy stance and maybe keep rates lower for longer because they don't want the presidential heat? That's the reason we care about the comment.
Right. No, that's a great question, Sully. And I don't think that's the case. As a matter of fact, I think it works in the other direction. I think this is a Fed that wants to show its independence and will probably push them over the edge in December. September's a lock. December's the 50-50 shot. And they may well, to exert their independence, continue to normalize, and, regardless of what's going on in the yield curve, regardless of what's going on in emerging markets, and Turkey in particular, or if Italy, proposes a budget and things start to look dicey, on the continent. So to me, I think this is probably the, equal but opposite reaction you get from a Fed that wants to show that it's independent and will probably press ahead and maybe even be more aggressive. So if I were the president at this point in time, I'd just back off, let them do what they're going to do, and perhaps, they might be more gradual if they didn't hear about it all the time.
Yeah, people get confused with the word federal and Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve has nothing to do effectively with the U.S. government. I mean, federal just means it is part of the federalist society that we live in. It has no say or sway under the federal government other than to have Fed governors appointed.
Yeah, they probably didn't teach that class at Wharton. So, unfortunately, what happens is you have a president that, knows that he nominated somebody and thinks that he should have some sort of reign over that, whereas this is a body that's been independent for the entirety of its existence. There have been presidents in the past that have gone after the Fed, but you have to go back to Eisenhower and Reagan to a certain extent. It's never worked, and it's never a good time. Think about the other countries that actually have control over their central banks, like Turkey. That doesn't seem to be going very well. Or China, with the People's Bank of China. You could question that that's the direction we want to go in. I think we want a free and independent Federal Reserve, and I certainly think we will continue to have one, but it's certainly amusing to hear, how, the administration feels about monetary policy when it's been very gradual and just trying to get to a normal level.